I want to start off our speaking engagements by introducing two amazing people, Monica and Kanth, who are successful entrepreneurs, who were part of the trailblazers like 10, 12 years ago in terms of building very successful companies here in Portland. I'm going to give a little bit of their backgrounds here. So Monica founded Zapproved Inc., cloud-based software in 2008. It was designed for corporate legal departments, and she served as CEO till February of last year. Her company was acquired by Extero, very successful exit. Monica is a board member of Northwest Natural Gas, Wayfinder, and a director of the Oregon Community Foundation. She has chaired Auth0 and the Technology Association of Oregon. Talk about public service that she's performing right now. She's doing an amazing job of giving back. Let's see. She served on the Oregon Business Council, Oregon Growth Board, Oregon Innovation Council, and Oregon Investment Council. The list goes on. She received the 2018 Sam Blackman Award for Civic Engagement, the 2018 TIE Oregon Entrepreneur of the Year Award, the 2016 Portland Business Journal Entrepreneur of the Year Award, and the 2010 Portland Business Journal Orchid Award. Monica was an early collaborator with me to not only accept money from TIE Oregon Angels, but actually help with the launch of it and become an investor, an early investor. So she's been giving back to this community for a very long time. And I'm so proud to call her my friend and also an investor in Elevate. So thank you, Monica. All right. Kanth Gopalpur is another collaborator and a great friend. He's a seasoned entrepreneur, angel investor with over 25 years in Oregon's entrepreneur scene. He launched Powell Books online service in 1995 and was VP of e-commerce at Django's Music. He founded and led Monsoon Works, a very successful startup software company in Oregon with great returns to his investors and his employees, and sold it in 2010, and then he started giving back. So he chairs the Business Oregon Commission, co-chaired the Oregon Futures Commission. He's an ex-officio member of the Oregon Innovation Council. He serves as trustee of the Oregon Institute of Technology and has a number of advisory roles and board roles, including with Business Oregon, Oregon Growth Account, and Oregon Talent Council. He has also been a great collaborator, I said earlier, in terms of the founding of TIE Oregon, being on the board, and then really launching TIE Oregon Angels with me back in the day. He also continues to support Elevate as an LP. Both these guys are the best givers and are best qualified to lead this discussion of how to bring innovation back to Oregon. Kanth and Monica, take it from here.
Tom.
Oh, I had something on to bring. Hold on. I have a little prop. Sorry.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Should I go first?
Yep.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Nitin. That was awesome. It made me feel great, but
Whoa,
thank
these
you
are
to
very
all of
comfortable.
you. I know. I take issue with your introduction of Kanth where you said, and then he started giving back, because Kanth has been giving back all of the time that I've known him, and I've known him a lot longer than 2010. I was really lucky to have both Nitin and Kanth as early investors and angels in Zapproved, and they were amazing advisors to me and helped me all along the way. But Nitin came to us and he said, hey, can you guys think about when your companies were successful and how you got there, and reflect on what was the characteristics of the ecosystem. And so that really got Kanth and I talking and reflecting on the time. And, I ended up asking Kanth, do you think it was just the right time, right place? What do you think?
Well, You know, I started, gosh, early 2000, right after the dot-com crisis. So it was a bad time. Overall, nobody really wanted to start a business or fund a business. The ecosystem's a lot better today than it was 20 odd years ago. And what I found, at least, was there were some trends. There were some national trends. And I figured, being in Portland, we were used to be called a flyover city. We may still be called a flyover city. We don't have the talent, enough of the talent or the capital here to start, to rope in $100 million or $200 million businesses and create this. It just doesn't happen over here. So what I decided to do, and I think Monica will get to hers, which is very similar, we saw what were the national trends, and let's just piggyback on that. Let's surf on those trends and make it easier for us. I like convenience and comfort. I'd rather, instead of trying to hammer through a wall, I'd like to see, that's kind of the name Monsoon as well. It's almost like a river, right? You find the least path of resistance and you can build successful companies. So for me, e-commerce was trending, marketplaces were trending. So I saw an opportunity there. And actually with very little capital, it was more about timing a rising trend, catching on to a rising trend rather than any other factor, I think, which had a big influence. And I think it was pretty much the same for you about a few years down the road.
Yeah, very much so. So you founded Monsoon in 2002,
Yep.
Is that right? And I founded Zapproved in 2009. And I have to say the same thing. There is no timing the market. I think, anybody who says they can, that's wrong. What I learned is, very much like your river analogy, if you can paddle your surfboard when the wave is coming and then position your surfboard right and then ride the wave like heck when it happens. And just like, the amount of parallels are pretty eerie. You said it was just after the dot-com bust.
Boom and bust, yeah.
And then you started, and e-commerce was trending,
Yeah.
right? I started in 2009. Well, 2008 was the great financial crisis, right? And it was just coming out of a massive recession where there was no investment. There was very little investment in companies. And that's when we started Zapproved. And we rode a wave, not the e-commerce wave, but we rode the SaaS wave. What did we do? I could tell you all kinds of things about Zapproved, but really, we took something that was manually done in Excel spreadsheets for corporations, and we automated them in a software as a service. That's, by the way, the story for all of that description is the story for many, many successful SaaS companies. We were not alone in doing that. But when everything is up and to the right, we really benefit from riding that wave, right?
Yep.
So I think you mentioned that Portland, why Portland?
Yeah. It was interesting, right? Why, again, going back, like Nitin mentioned, what was working then? I think there were a few things which, that was working because, again, like I said, Silicon Valley and Seattle, they had the most successful big companies, but Portland still managed to thrive. And I think, a big part of this was we had a net influx of young people moving in. I think young creative people moving into the city and wanting to get things done. And I think that had a big impact. And we also had several Bay Area companies setting up outposts over here as well. You had New Relic, you had Google, you had eBay, and you had several of them. And I think one of the big parts of this is the slide. I think, Monica, you can talk to this slide. Just if you take a look at the trends over here in terms of affordability. Go.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I mean, first of all, why were those people moving? Well, we have all of these natural amenities in Oregon that, by the way, I still know and love, and I know all of you love. So that hasn't gone away. But I actually called, I don't know if some of you know John Tapania, and I was like, hey, why did this thing happen? And then what's happening now? And he sent me this, actually he sent me a big Excel spreadsheet with a lot of data. But anyway, I pulled this one graph from what he sent. And it was, if you look, the orange line is Portland, and the rest of the lines are other West Coast cities, right? So if these waves and these trends are fueling economic vitality on the West Coast, well, Portland, in a relative sense, look, I know we have affordability issues in Portland, but in a relative sense, housing affordability for West Coast city was really a quite affordable city. And really that kind of started to grow and peak in 2017, 18. I think in 2018, if I look at the data, it was like 32, we were 32% above the national average for housing, right? But as you can see, that's kind of coming down, and it's starting to trend down, which is what's going to happen, right? If there is this, if it becomes too unaffordable, then housing is going to start to, that's just something that's going to naturally correct. So that gives me kind of excitement about what's to come. Nitin said, how do we go back to the glory days? And while I think there have been good times and bad times, as there are in everywhere, I personally believe the best is yet to come for Portland, and that there is no going back, there is going forward.
And again, we're entrepreneurs, we have to be optimistic.
Absolutely.
Right? There's no way. I never got up every morning and said, shit, I think my company is going to fail today.
Oh, I did. By the way, I did. I did get up and go, oh, shit, my company is going to fail. But then I would drink some coffee or whatever, calm down. I calm myself down. I'm a volatile person, by the way, but emotionally. But okay, so Kanth, if the best is yet to come and you believe that, what do you think? What are the next waves? What are the waves we should all be looking for?
I think, I don't have a crystal ball. I can't predict a whole lot, but at least there's some definitive trends. You see some definite trends you do see nationwide and worldwide. And two of them I'll mention because, again, I see them on a lot of the labels on the tables here. It's two topics. And again, there's no rocket science. AI is one of them. We're seeing so much investment going into AI across the US, China, Europe, everywhere. And while we might not snag the billions of dollars in AI, there's some trends. We have some slides which show some trends, and Monica can talk about it, and what that means for a place like Portland, what we can do over here. So if you have, there you go.
Yeah, no, I don't think we have to convince you that AI is a trend. Like this is on the Gartner hype cycle. It's like the most hyped trend for the last 3 years, but it's real. It's hyped and it's real. And I think you're all seeing that. But, I call on my friends when I do these talks to say, like, who has data on all these things? So this came from Boston Consulting Group, so I have to credit them. But, I was looking at this chart, and it said it's the consumer uptake of these different trends. So we talked about e-commerce being a big trend and SaaS being a big trend. Okay, Netflix, which I think everyone knows and loves, in 1999, took 3.5 years to get to 1 million users. Facebook took 10 months to get to, in 2004, to get to 1 million users. ChatGPT took 5 days to get to 1 million users. So, if that's not an example of an incredibly highly disruptive trend, I don't know what is. Lakeisha, I can say you these things too. Actually, I don't want to, this one. This is another one that they sent me, and that's the Goldman predicts that 25% of current work tasks. So I told you that Zapproved automated a work task that was done previously in Excel spreadsheets, created efficiencies for the corporation, and profited from that. Goldman expects that 25% of current work tasks are going to be automated by AI. And it varies very greatly by job category, right? And you could think this is a scary trend, but actually, I'm not scared by it. I'm really excited by it, just like I was excited by software as a service and all of the things that we were able to do and the efficiencies that we were able to create with that. But here's the key. Oh, no, wrong order. Sorry. This is the key. Okay. So Boston Consulting Group and Harvard actually collaborated, and they took the consultants and they said, they did like control groups, and they had like consultants working on different tasks, and they said some of them use AI, some of them don't. And what they found is that for some tasks, which they named within the AI frontier, that there was a 12% increase in task completion, 25% acceleration, and 40% enhancement in the work quality for some tasks. And here's the key. For others, these tasks that were outside, that they are naming outside of the AI frontier, some of these tasks were 19% less likely to produce correct solutions. And, I think all of have have seen AI. I sometimes think when you're asking AI generally, sometimes it's like mansplaining as a service, because half the time it's like super correct and really good, and half the time it's just spouting nonsense. Like there are legal court cases where it actually cites cases that don't exist. And so the key here is when you're thinking about AI is where do we use AI and how do we train these large language models on the right data for the specific task, right? And so that's very much, I think, akin to software as a service. It was this big thing, but in the end, when we created Zapproved, we knew what the legal industry needed, and we had domain expertise, and we took a specific use case and a task and automated it, right? And I think that's what's coming for AI.
And you can play this across every single sector of the economy. And each of those is probably worth $1 trillion, if not more, dollars. So there's plenty of opportunities over here. Because one of the things with AI, as I think everybody here knows, is the cost, is the computing cost. So, but I think that you'll start to see more efficiency, but just playing in very specific niches, I think will give you an advantage and help you to do that more cost effectively. And I think that's the space we should be looking at. All these various industries which are out there which can be improved and enhanced.
Yeah, and that leads us to our second trend. Kanth, you wanted to talk about that?
Yeah, for Oregon's always been known, we've got an ethos of caring for the climate, being green, and having green solutions, right? So clean tech. And we were talking about this, it's been hyped for
since I joined the entrepreneurial ecosystem.
It's been hyped forever. But I think some things have changed now. For example, I think EVs, the trains left the station. I mean, we are moving that way, there's no doubt about it. Given the Inflation Reduction Act, there's such an emphasis on creating green, sustainable solutions. And when I said earlier, we, as a state, we don't have the money to pump in billions of dollars, but the federal government can. And there's hundreds of billions of dollars in clean tech. I think this is the biggest economic opportunity there is. You could see it as a problem, climate change. I'm an entrepreneur, I'm an optimist. I see it as the biggest economic opportunity for us to do good and do well at the same time. So I think, clean tech, green energy, I think is again,
sorry.
No, it's the next slide, Yeah, and again, so you're talking about global electricity demand, right? In terms of, I think we were talking about data centers. That's the next slide.
I mean, this is really about, it segues from the AI growth. If AI is going to be as disruptive and massive of the trend as we believe it is going to be, then you got to look at data center demand. And the International Energy Agency, it predicts the demand to grow by 2 to 3x by 2050. In fact, I found out that that same agency forecasts that by 2026, data centers globally will use the same amount of energy as Japan's electricity consumption. And there's a number of statistics where, Meta has, or Microsoft, which is the undisputed leader in AI, due to its investment in OpenAI, reported that emissions increased 30% from 2020 to 23. And they attribute that jump to AI data centers, right? So if data centers are going to demand all of this fuel.
And we have the same issue in Oregon. I mean, if you'll have been reading the papers, we've set up, there are so many data centers being set up in Morrow County and Umatilla County. And so we're going to face that same problem over here. But with the problem, the other side of the coin is the solution. What are the solutions we can come up with? And one of them, which is being touted, is hydrogen, right? We can talk about hydrogen. The Pacific Northwest, which Oregon is one of the 3 members of the consortium, Oregon, Washington, and Montana, I believe, we just awarded $1 billion to set up a hydrogen hub in the Pacific Northwest. So I think we're starting to make moves over there. I know of another company called Atlas Agro, which is headquartered in Switzerland, just moved across the Columbia River to Richland. They're setting up like $1 billion project to make green fertilizer. So we're already starting to see all these big opportunities happening over here. And this goes again, like we're talking billion-dollar investments, but even down to at the micro level, we've got a company here in.
Yeah, this is one of the things that I thought I needed to share with you is that there's a company called Modern Hydrogen. There are a couple of PhDs, physics PhDs out of Harvard. Bill Gates funded them. They're in Seattle, and they're taking natural gas and turning, methane, which is a carbon and 4 hydrogens, and sequestering the carbon. So, like my little prop that if you all want to see later, this is captured carbon that was captured in solid form and then can be used in enhanced asphalt. This is being done right now in Southeast Portland, like with our natural gas utility, which, why would this company pick us? Why would they come here? It's because of the innovation, and they know the receptivity of and how innovative Oregon is in terms of clean and green energy.
And, so we've talked about 2 of them, right? I mean, I think Monica and I can sit here and go on for the rest of the outing, but I think we'll put all you guys to sleep. So we're not going to do that. We've talked about 2 trends. There's several trends, some of them all like life sciences is one. Again, we've got some inherent advantages here. Ag tech is going to be another big one. So I think there's a lot of opportunity over here. We just need to see where we can play and at what capacity. And I think it'll be fine. So like Monica said, I don't believe that the glory days are behind us. I think they're ahead of us because there are these incredibly huge opportunities in front of us which we can take advantage of. I think we're going well over our time. I think I'm going to try and wrap this up.
Yeah, well, I mean, I do think we do need to talk about. It was exciting to see your first cohort there, and in the picture, and with Ali in it, and all of. I have to say that, like, since I started and you started before me, I think that the diversity of who is participating in both the funds and the entrepreneurs, it's definitely better. I'm not saying we're done. I'm not saying there's not a long journey, that we'll be continuing to work on this and talk about it. We can't, mission accomplished. But I have to say, I think it's a lot better because of what the efforts and so many of you in this room have done.
Yeah, let me give you an example. So back when I had started my company, it used to be called the Software Association of Oregon now, which is TAO now. They used to have a CEO dinner. And there were probably 12, 15 of us who would gather. There was not a single woman in the room. Last year at Monica's house, there was an OVF entrepreneurs dinner, founders dinner. I think it was close to like 50%
No, it was 50-50.
of the CEOs there were women. And for me, that was such an amazing thing to see. So while things happen slowly, so you don't see it, but if you step back to where we were 15, 20 years ago and where we are now, I think there's a lot of change, welcome change. And again, in terms of public money, I just want to touch on that. We as a state right now are in a position to allocate more money to the entrepreneurs startup ecosystem than ever before. The federal government has got what's called SSBCI, which is a state small business credit initiative. Oregon, I think we're doling out about 30 million, which is a big number for us. The previous year, it was like 1 or 2 million, and subject to private matching. So we've already given out about half that money, I believe. Elevate's in negotiation to get a big chunk of that. But again, this is subject to private matching. So the federal government, that's a federal government criteria. So I know OVF, I think, has already got their matches. So I would, looking at the investors over here and the startup founders who are going to have successful liquidity events, I think I would call on you to give back to the community. I think that's how this whole system works. It's a virtuous cycle. We need to succeed and then give back to the community and stay in Oregon. And the other thing I would say as a call to action, get involved. Go to city council. One of the things we need to change, we can talk about innovation hubs, which we're already funding. We can talk about all of that. But one of the things which needs to change is policy. We need to make sure that Portland is an attractive place for startups. And the way you do that is by getting in front of city council and making sure that your voice is heard and making sure that your needs are heard. So I would ask you guys to step up and do that. That's my request to you, because I think as fund managers, they can do a lot. I know all the entrepreneurs are here work a lot, but we need to change the macro system as well. And the way to do that is to be involved. So,
And I would also add that giving back, at least through Elevate and other entrepreneurial endeavors, has been a fabulous investment and continues to be a fabulous investment.
Yeah.
So I think Ali is standing up, so it's probably our time
yeah,
to
I think it's
end.
our time to.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.